Hey, how you been? It's time for Dow's Weekly Digest. Missed you. So glad you could make it this week. Well, since we last met, I had a couple questions come in, of course. One of them came in and they said, Dow, in regards to your dad there, Sergeant Major Bartling, did he really ask a lot of how? And he did. He asked a lot of how questions rather than why questions. Sergeant Major Bartling had a sense of, let me call it, flowery language. He used phrases I never heard before other than from him. Other than, and get this, there is a movie out there called Full Metal Jacket. Full Metal Jacket. It shows a gunnery sergeant for the Marines going down the barracks, and he's just tearing up those new recruits right and left. There are some phrases that Gunny uses that, believe me, Sergeant Major Bartling used. So yeah, he used the flowery language before he got to the how. So it was definitely a attention getter. Another question, Dow, do you still have that 65 Mustang? No, I'm sorry. It's one of those shoulda, coulda. I traded it for a 68 Camaro. And then later went on to family cars, so to speak. But no, I don't have it. The word I want to use today is independence. Independence, and along with independence, responsibility comes with independence. So that's the word for today. And to start it off a bit, let's start off with a little what? Cowboy Wisdom. I need to ask you guys for some help with Cowboy Wisdom. We've been doing this about, maybe 16 weeks now. I'm running out of Cowboy Wisdom. So if you've got some that I haven't used, please pass them this way, okay? Please pass them this way. We all got pieces of crazy. So we all got pieces of crazy. Some just have bigger pieces than others. So we all got those craziness in us, but some of us maybe a little bit bigger than others. A little South Dakota wisdom. Crazy Horse Memorial started in 1948. It has two generations that's been working that monument. And Korczak Ziolkowski started in 1947. And here's the bit of trivia. When he started in 1947, folks, he had $174. He went to the bank in 1949, the bank in Custer, and asked for a loan. They refused the loan. And you know the rest of the story. As I said, I'm running short on Cowboy Wisdom. But I have one that I'll share each week, and it's entitled, You Might Be a Lutheran If. So maybe a little bit I can identify, especially when I go to visit the other churches, being a Gideon, that you might be a Lutheran if. And I love this one here I come across. You might be a Lutheran if you sing, stand up for Jesus, and you sit the whole time. I mean, that is a Lutheran. You're singing, stand up for Jesus, and you're right there staunch. Your back's to the back of the pew there, singing that song. That to me is a good one, folks. Stand up for Jesus, and you're setting the whole time period there. I said the theme word was what? Independence and responsibility. Well, let me share with you maybe what the Bible maybe has to say with that, or the biblical example, if you will. It's a story of a couple, Elizabeth and Zacharias. Now, Zacharias was a priest, and Elizabeth actually was a cousin of Mother Mary. And as it happened, God's planning, Elizabeth was with child same time as Mary. In fact, you may recall that when the two met at one time, maybe a family reunion, the baby inside of Elizabeth jumped for joy, knowing that Mary was carrying our Savior baby Jesus. Well, when it got closer to delivery, Zacharias could no longer speak and he could no longer hear. Well, one of his responsibilities was that he had the responsibility of naming the child. And he needed to do that by the baby's 8th day. So when the baby's 8 days old, there was a celebration to name the child. So Elizabeth said she would name the child. And she was getting all kind of recommendations, what to name it. Example, let's call him Zacharias. Name him after the father, okay? Other names, okay? You know what Elizabeth said we're going to name him? We're going to name him John. We're going to name him John. Now, there wasn't any John previously named in the family tree. So that was very, very different. So it got closer to the birth, and the baby came, and the days were going close to the 8th day, and Zacharias asked for a tablet to be brought to him. Now remember, Zacharias could not speak or hear. He asked for this tablet, and on this tablet, Zacharias wrote, "The baby shall be named John." Now look at that. They both were independently making this decision, understanding their responsibility, and independently they came to the name of John, a cousin of Jesus, who you may know as John the Baptist. Independence and responsibility. This week, a real quick example I look at as independence and responsibility. Responsibility to the employees and to the stockholders was this example I came across. Hotels are opening up their rooms for office space, temporary office space. They'll offer Wi-Fi. They offer snacks. There's the bathroom right there. And if you're there long enough and you need room service for lunch, you can order lunch. I thought, man, that's really thinking outside the box. That independent thinking, if you want to say that, and putting that together. And they're saying some of the bigger cities, it's going over very, very well. One particular, in the article I was reading, the corporation is taking a whole floor of certain level of executives. Hey, they got their own office. They got their own bathroom. Each day, and it's cleaned every day. And the hotels are doing everything they can to sanitize those rooms to the very top. I thought, man, that is really thinking. That is independent thinking there. Now an independence story. And that is the food. The preparation of the food, the cooking of the food, and then the service of that food. And so I had the opportunity that I was doing this mentoring with a group of youth. And 4 of the youth was going to go with me to prep, so we were buying the supplies. So we're buying the supplies, and I told them, okay, why don't 2 of you go over there, and I need some apples. Get me 2 bags of Red Delicious and 1 bag of Granny Smith. And as they went, then I overheard the one say, "Ooh, the Red Delicious must be better." So then they went ahead and got the bags and everything, and we got everything loaded, and we got back. So then we're in the kitchen, and we're ready to prep a little bit and get going here with the group. And so then I took 2 apples, and I set them on the shelf there. One of them, a Granny Smith, one of them a Red Delicious. And I asked them, boys, let me ask you, of these 2 here, tell me how they are alike. And so they went on and described that they're both fruit. Oh, good, yeah. They both grow on a tree. Yes, they do. They're both apples. Boy, they are. They both have seeds. Okay, very good. That's good. That's good. Now tell me how they're different. Oh, they're different colors. They're different colors. Oh, and the Red Delicious is better. So, oh, okay. We have twice as many as we do these. Yeah, number-wise, we sure do. That is true. I had peeled another apple. And when I peeled it, the stem was off. You couldn't see any peeling on the apple at all. And I set that apple in between these 2 apples. And I said, which apple is this? Well, we can't tell. I said, well, maybe I can help. Let me describe the Red Delicious apple for you. The Red Delicious apple was started in 1874. It is a crunchy apple. It is good for snacks. It is good for salads. In fact, you put this apple with some walnuts and you make a salad. And you know what, boys, we're going to make that salad. It is absolutely delicious. And that hike that we're going to be going on tomorrow, we're going to have in each backpack what? You guessed it, some apples. It's a good snacking apple. Red Delicious apple. 1874. And you know where it got its start? Peru, Iowa. The Granny Smith apple is named after Mary Ann Smith. And in 1868, it's been noted to her the starting of this Granny Smith apple in the country of Australia. And this apple is good for pies. And boys, it's good for cobblers. Oh, you're going to be making some cobblers. And you're going to use what? The Granny Smith apple. And it's good for applesauce. And you can even freeze the Granny Smith. And this apple here, which you can't tell the difference, you see, has nothing to do with the color on the outside. It has to do with what? What is inside the apple itself. You know, people are kind of like that too. It doesn't matter what color they are. It's what's inside them that really counts. And it's that inside and the attributes given to you that's going to give you your independence. And along with that comes your responsibility as you boys go on. But remember, it's not what's on the outside. It's really what's inside that counts. So kind of at the end of that story, folks, I said, you know, if our Father in heaven was able to make a butt of a bug light at night, oh, boys, he can do so much more, and has done so much more for you. GP for you equals G. And you know what? Putting that you know, and the little story about the bug's butt, they will remember. And they'll actually probably remember it how backwards. Hey, you see that bug's butt? They'll remember that part, but it will still be in their memory, folks. The other little bit of the story that came across. The story of independence and responsibility. So, folks, financial markets is what? An independent wholesale brokerage organization. We pride ourselves in being independent. Why? Because it's our responsibility to try to find continually the very best for you. Weekly, I hear from our internal wholesalers on how they are digging to find the very best for you. They are believe me, your ambassador. Now, one carrier that we've had for years as a premier carrier is Lincoln National. Lincoln National is 115 years old. These last 16 weeks, they have been to the front lines in giving resources that we can pass on to you. I mean, from bringing psychologists to motivators that were speaking to the Philadelphia Eagles, to you name it, they have brought to the front lines resources for us to use. Now, there are different stages of independent responsibility. And I've heard it said that these stages could be called the go-go years, and then the slow-go years, and then finally the no-go years. And during those go-go years, it could be where then what they're protecting their income, they're accumulating their income. And again, we have products such as term insurance, and we have the e-application. They have one of the easiest e-application processes out there to take care of that need. And of course, these products are convertible. They have permanent policies, both in the indexed universal side and on the guaranteed UL side. And of course, they are very much at the forefront of business needs, business solutions. And they do have a process where then they're able to follow the policy and give the needed reports well after it's in force. So they have what? Support there for you. They have support for you as you found the need during those go-go years to take care of that. Maybe the slow-go years. Well, then again, maybe on the business solution side could be what? Succession planning, where the person is looking, saying, hey, I'm a baby boomer, I'm looking at retiring, and they're looking at succession planning there. They have the tools there. And then we have the no-go. And maybe between the slow-go and the no-go could be a product they call the Money Guard. Money Guard helps protect that life event that you've heard me talk about before, that of long-term care. And they have the ability to have what? Life insurance and long-term care. Both those risks can take care of. And oh, by the way, if you want your money back, we can show you that too. You know, as you meet your client, you've been learning the art of listening. Because, you know, the respect that you owe your client, and I'm sure that you give your client, is what? To not only listen, but particularly what? Ask questions. Ask questions at the different stages that they are. Or if you deem it to be the go-go, or the slow-go, or the no-go stage itself. Is it accumulation that they're looking for? Is it protection? Is it a long-term care to get that coverage that's needed there? Or is it perhaps maybe a product where they have an existing product and that particular asset can be used in income producing, such as a single premium immediate annuity? We've seen where we have in-force policies and they would use a transaction, your internal wholesaler would be calling 1035 exchange, and they can use that then to start to produce income during that slow go phase that they have there. So they have a lot of apples there, folks. They have a lot of apples. That's Lincoln National, one of our premier carriers there. The theme was independence and responsibility. So, time for recommendations. The book, maybe you will recognize it. If not, like my other books, I highly recommend you get it and you read it with someone. It is called, folks, The Giving Tree. From Shel Silverstein is the author. Shel Silverstein, he's written other children's books also. But The Giving Tree. It goes through the go-go, the slow-go, and the no-go phase. And when you read this with somebody or read it yourself, look at it from the viewpoint. Say, okay, I'm going to read it now, and I'm going to read it from the viewpoint of the boy. Read it again and say, now I'm going to read it from the viewpoint of the tree, the giving tree. It kind of teaches us the balance of giving and receiving. So that's the book. The poem is entitled The Broken Pinion. Now, a pinion is a bird's wing. That's what a pinion is. So it can be called sometimes the broken wing poem. The author is Hezekiah Butterworth. Maybe Mrs. Butterworth's boy. I don't know. The Broken Pinion. And again, the theme is what? Independence and responsibility. The song comes from the 1970s, the year that Lada and I got married 50 years ago. That songwriter and singer, Cat Stevens, and the album's name is T for the Tiller Man. And he's still living and still writing songs. So, a whole album. How about the movie? The movie's an oldie. In fact, it's in black and white, folks. It stars Henry Fonda. You know, he came from Omaha, Nebraska. But 12 Angry Men speaks of independence and responsibility. And then you're going to see some examples of the lack of. It's 12 Angry Men. The number 12, it deals with these men are on a jury. How about that video I have for you? It comes to you from Lincoln National. It talks about these independent stages. And we're going to see how the way it kind of discovers that for us or goes over a little bit is we see two generations, different generations talking to each other. And it again covers the different stages that they've been through as far as the go-go, slow-go, and then they're looking down the road to maybe what the no-go. I heard once say that the slow-go is kind of when you get to the end of the slow-go it'd be where you'd say, yeah, we got to get home before dark because Dad doesn't see so good driving. It's kind of the slow go there. In that go-go stage, here's a power phrase I want to share with you. So when you're speaking to a client and he comes back with an objection and maybe says a no, you can say you don't want it, but can you say your family doesn't need it? Real short little phrase, but it really comes home.
When it comes to things like life insurance, when it comes to things like retirement, those are just as important to pay as your mortgage. The reason why I had as much life insurance as I did and still do was because I wanted to make sure that if I wasn't around, that you would still have the same lifestyle. To me, it's a necessity.
You're trying to take care of your family in case some catastrophe happened anywhere along the way.
I really remember a conversation we had where you said, well, what's going to happen to you if one of you were to pass away?
The grief is deep enough, and getting back on your feet and living your life and making sure your children are happy is hard enough without the financial burdens.
I'm always concerned about money. Matt and I are fortunate that we both have good jobs. There's so many expenses that you always feel like it's never enough.
Do you feel like we've planned appropriately for that?
Yes, I think that we have so many great conversations with your parents.
What type of long-term planning have you done?
It's never too early to be thinking about it and to check and to get the information, because the last thing you want to do is wait until it's too late.
I really wrestled with renewing my long-term care, and I thought, I come from a family that's really healthy, and what I could do instead of re-upping the insurance. And Larry said, you never know, and that's what insurance is all about.
We didn't want it to be on you to worry about taking care of us in our old age.
Right, so it's really both for you and for us as well, in that one, it makes you more comfortable, but two, it also lessens the burden upon us.
Once it's in place, we really don't even think about it that much anymore. We want to think about more positive things.
It's helpful to discuss with people who have already been through a lot of these things, and also to discuss with experts and professionals who do this day in and day out.
I think we've always had that open line of communication with you about everything, not just financial things.
You had always instilled in us, if we're fiscally responsible and put our future first, we could wind up later in life in a far better position.
Didn't I tell you about those different generations? How they're sitting around the table and the kids are listening to them. They're listening to the wisdom from them and the planning that their folks did, rather than the lack of planning. And the folks, I think one of the things I gathered from there was the folks, in talking with them, respected their independence, but wanted them to come to understand their responsibilities. And that's what Lincoln National was able to help them with. Well, I hope you exhibited the old red, white, and blue, and that you really enjoyed your 4th. I know we did in our area here, in honoring and having our president here come visit one of our national monuments here. Remember, folks, what GP for you equals G. And if he can do that for the lightning bug, man, what has he done for you? And blessed are those who ease the pain of misfortune, whether it be the go-go, the slow-go, or the no-go, for they shall be called insurance agents. Take care.